Alrighty, welcome to the second webinar in the Enterprise Trainer Presenting Skill Set series. The first webinar that we covered was all about the short answer questions and essentially how you would attack those short answer questions and understand the right perspective to take when you answer those questions. All right. So the purpose of this webinar is to go through the projects. So we're going to go through exactly what's required for each of the presentations and make sure that you are fully comfortable with what the requirements are, what to put in the session plans, what to put in the preliminary documentation, and the attendance records and the review documents and all those different kind of things. All right. So as we always do, make sure that the front cover is filled out and all the details are correct, okay? So now let's head straight to the project. So we've covered the short answer questions last time, and if you have any questions with those, make sure that you give the office a call. Otherwise, send them an email, and they'll be more than happy to help you out with that, okay? But now let's get into the presentations, okay? So essentially, you will be required to conduct 3 group-based training sessions, okay? And 2 of them must be delivered to one group and the other one will be delivered to a different group, okay? So what we're going to expect you to be providing is things such as a session plan, things such as the presentation materials that you used, things such as feedback forms from your students, things like that, okay? Now, each session must include a session plan that's provided below. It must have copies of any training resources that you use for the session. It must also have feedback forms from the candidates, and you do either need to videotape your sessions and send them in to your assessor at Success Training Academy, or you can, if you're doing the workshop face-to-face, then you can get your assessor at Success Training Academy to watch your 3 sessions. That's totally fine, okay? And with the video, you probably want to upload it to YouTube and send through the link, okay? Or you can upload to Vimeo and send through the link. The other thing you can do is save it onto a USB drive and submit that as well, okay? So in terms of conducting your assessment presentations, you either do it in front of your assessor at Success Training Academy at a workshop, or you record it, okay? You can make the decision on that, all right? So coming down, let's take a look at the scenarios, all right? So the first scenario is you will deliver it to a group of new employees from WorkPack, okay? And that's the name of a company. And you're required to choose a topic that would relate to their induction into the business environment, such as the ones listed below, or another topic that would be appropriate for a business setting. Okay, you're required to deliver the session and fill out session plan 1 in accordance with your proposed session content. Okay, so what we've actually done is we've suggested a unit that is quite generic and easy to work with. All right, so we've suggested BSB IND 201. Okay, work effectively in a business environment. And the unit itself is very, very broad, so it's a great one to work with, okay? So we have been able to look at the topics in the unit and create a bit of contextualization for you, and these are the topics that we came up with, all right? So we have dealing with customer complaints. We have how to fill out a timesheet, scheduling appointments on your phone, how to send an email on your phone, how to set up a meeting room, how to organize a meeting successfully, how to identify a hazard in your workplace, when completed, take 5, how to turn on and off an alarm system, how to reduce stress in the workforce, how to put in a holiday request, how to photocopy a document, how to give feedback to someone, okay? All these things are hopefully things that you would know about. And if you're not exactly sure, you may need to Google and find out. But I imagine things like how to set up a meeting room, scheduling appointments on your phone, you should be fine with that. And Just imagine that your audience have never heard the topic before and have got no idea what you're talking about, and they are joining the workforce for the very first time. Okay, so this session, let's check it out. Just want to review the instructions for a second. Okay. This session, we haven't actually, or in the unit itself, hasn't actually stipulated how long it needs to go for, okay? So we recommend that this session you could do for around 20 minutes, okay? So we'd recommend around 20 minutes for this session, okay? The other two sessions do have a minimum expectation of 40 minutes each, okay? So let's take a look. Let's continue. In 2 to 3 sentences, describe how you will gather information about your audience that are in your sessions, okay? So this could be things like, I will sit with the candidates and do a verbal interview, okay? And find out their current challenges and find out their current levels of ability in the topic area. Another one could be, I will read through their pre-course documentation, or I will get reports from their supervisor, or things like that, all right? So I'm going to come down. What would be 3 or 4 critical factors that you would want to know about before planning your session, okay? And these could be things like language literacy and numeracy levels. It could be things like what else? It could be things like motivation levels. It could be things like, so we've got things like LLN levels, things like motivation levels, things like logistics, things like who can attend, who can't attend, things like what would be the awareness of the topic as an issue within the team, things like start times, finish times, things like the, I guess, energy levels of the students, things like what else have we got? Technological skills, okay? So all of those things come into play when you are planning a training session. All right, so now, in 20 to 50 words, please describe the work pack individuals, potential characteristics. This may be developed by you and can range from mundane to extreme. What we mean by this is essentially, I'd like you to imagine the people that you're going to work with, and we're going to say that would be about 4 people minimum, okay? And we're going to say that you could describe them as highly motivated, very excited and enthusiastic individuals that can't wait to get started on their job. All right, or you could say that they are middle-aged workers and they've just entered the company and they've got very low technological skills. Okay, what else? We could say that there's a lot of single mothers and they need to. They have got a child at home that they're looking after, and that they are very hard workers, whatever it might be. Okay, you could also say that they are very creative types, and they love stimulation and creative arts. So all those different things. Okay, however you'd like to describe them. Okay, coming down, what are 3 ways that you will incorporate? Adjust your delivery to cater for the audience's characteristics. What we mean by this is, if above you said that one of their characteristics is that they are very young and enthusiastic, well, in here you may want to put in my session I will include lots of games and fun, okay? You could also say, in our session, we will make sure that we tweet about it and we do social media posts, okay? Another one could be, We will do multiple activities and shift and change the state of the learning environment as often as we can. Okay. Another one could be if middle-aged workers and they work shift work, you could say we will have extra long breaks just in case people need to recover from the night before. Okay. So all those different things. All right, but that's going to be contextualized and it's going to be based on what you wrote up just here. Okay. So coming down, using the space provided, write a memo email to your potential audience members, informing them of the date, time, venue, and any items that you would like them to bring along to the training. Okay, so this could be things like, dear staff, we will be having a training session on XYZ topic on Tuesday afternoon of December 12th. It will be held in XYZ venue. Please bring along the following items to the training, and please don't forget to make sure that you inform your colleagues that you will be attending the training. Please RSVP to this invite within 2 days of receiving this email, however you would like to phrase it, okay? So I just made that up on the spot. You may change it up completely, totally up to you, but you need to include the key things here at the time, venue, blah, 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 okay? Now, task 5.3, 5.4, presentation 2 and 3, okay? So here's some specifics about 2 and 3. For the second and third presentation, they're going to go for a period of 40 minutes, okay? And they are going to be in relation to a topic that you are familiar with from your industry, excuse me, from your industry, your workplace, okay? And there's a strategic reason why we've done that. But just be aware for your second and third presentations, they will be about different topics and ideally a different group compared to the first group, okay? So now we need to do a bit of a safety check before we conduct our session, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to go through this custom classroom hazard and risk assessment checklist. So you're going to inspect the room, go around it, and you're going to tick yes or no. You're going to put in the date, location, you're going to tick yeses or nos as you go through the form, okay? And you are going to make sure that everything is in a safe condition for your training session that you conduct, okay? And naturally, not everything's going to be a yes. And if you do put yes for everything, it looks a little bit weird and will probably mark you not yet satisfactory for this item, okay? So in here, you're going to put in at least one hazard that's been identified and the risk that it could cause and the measure that you will use in order to minimize that hazard. So you could put in, for example, cords on floor cause tripping risk, okay? Measure the cords will be taped down, okay? Another hazard could be hot water in the kitchen, okay? Risk burn, okay? Measure a sign will be put up and hot water will only be dispensed by designated individuals, however you would like to describe it, okay? Trainer is you put your name, sign it, and put the date, okay? Now you come down, and part 2, we want to obtain a copy of the evacuation procedures for your proposed venue, okay? So in here, you want to think about your current venue, and probably on the wall you're going to have a copy of the evacuation plan, and the easiest thing to do is just take a photograph of that and print it off and attach it to the booklet, okay? And make sure you tick the box once it's attached, right? But the other thing you can do is if you don't have that, then just go to your staff manual, and I imagine it's going to be listed in there as well and under the evacuation procedure, okay? Next one, list the 6 steps that you would mention to your learners' audience to ensure safe evacuation in the case of emergency. So in here, number one could be, excuse me, if alarm rings, stop work. Okay, if it goes whoop, 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 then it is just a drill and ignore it. Okay, but if it goes beep, 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 make sure you stand, stop work, leave belongings behind, okay, blah, 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 meet in evacuation point, okay? And I imagine that you'll be able to Google, let's see, evacuation procedures. You'll find them very easily, okay? I can't give you the answers on that, okay? Because every organization is going to be slightly different, okay? I'm going to come down and now let's check out the session plans, okay? So in the first scenario here, we've got program name. You could call it handling customer complaints, or it could be making a timesheet, okay? Or it could be giving feedback to colleagues, okay? Now session title, you could say giving feedback, okay? Session length, we're gonna say 20 minutes, okay? You could tick knowledge or skills, don't worry too much about that. Safety and housekeeping, you could say evacuation procedures, what else? PPE, toilets, kitchen, okay? Resources, pop in here the resources that you're going to need for the training sessions, okay? Trainer, put in your first name and last name, put in the date of the session, okay? Now, this session plan, don't get too attached to each of the guides here on the side. Essentially, all we're trying to do is remind you of the key things to include, okay? So in here, you might say, good morning, thank you, my name is, and just remind yourself to do a self-intro, remind yourself to do an icebreaker, okay? Remind yourself to state the learning outcome. So the learning outcome could be, by the end of the session, you'll be able to handle a customer complaint efficiently and turn them into a buying customer or a referring customer. That would be really exciting, okay? Now, ground rules essentially are the rules that you want to set for your training session. So these could be, number one, come back from breaks on time. Another could be put answers into a sentence. Another could be, what else? No phones, okay? So go ahead and list your rules for your session, all right? We always want to have rules for our sessions, okay? Reasons for learning, okay? In here, I often like to say things would you like a way to be able to deal with difficult customers which is less stressful? Would you like a way to create repeat business for the company, okay? Would you like a way to not worry when someone is yelling at you on the phone, okay? So that is a really powerful place to be stating all the outcomes and benefits for a student as they go through the course, okay? So safety and housekeeping, you could say, before we get into today's content, let me just do a quick recap of safety and housekeeping and just make a note, toilets, PPE, safety in the training room, things like that, okay, bags on the floor, whatever, okay. Agenda, in here, what you're going to do is list what are you going to cover in your training session. What are you going to cover in your training session? Okay, body. In here, you're going to explain the content. So you're going to explain, types of customer complaints, what people often do wrong when they deal with customer complaints, all those different kinds of things, okay? Summary. In here, you're going to put in a little bit of a recap of what you've talked about. In here, you want to talk about the things that people do wrong. You want to maybe write in role plays and some of the activities that you're going to do in your session, for sure. And in summary, you're going to write in what did you cover in the session? Okay, conclusion, in here you want to write going forward, please remember. Okay, going forward, please remember, and just write it out. Okay. And that would be things like going forward, please remember that, customers, they're our greatest asset, blah, blah, blah. You want to put in what is the final thing that you want people remembering from your session, okay? So I'm hoping the session plans made sense for you, all right? So now you're going to come down. We've got the attendance form. Facilitator name is your name. Session title is whatever the title of the session is, okay? Date is the date of the session. Okay, learner name, and you put in the names of the students. So best thing to do is hand this around and get them to fill out their names, phone numbers, email addresses, and get them to sign it. The reason for this is just in case ASQA, the regulator, ever want to check the validity of these documents. We do need full disclosure of information here, okay? If somebody's a little bit hesitant on either of these, then it is allowed that they provide only one or the other. But we would prefer that they provided both, just in case, okay? Signature, get them to sign it, okay? Now, next page, we've got a trainer assessor document. Now, this one's going to be filled out by your assessor. And this is probably going to be your Success Training Academy's assessor, or your or if you are sending it and recording it via video and sending it in, then they'll fill it out as they watch the video, okay? But you get the assessor is going to go through and fill out this top part, okay? Apologies. You will fill out this top part and the assessor will fill out this part, okay? And the assessor will sign it here. They'll put the date, okay? They'll go through and tick the boxes and make sure that you sign it and put the date as well, okay? Now, this form is to be filled out by one of your learners from your first session, okay? So, facilitated name is your name, session title, put the date. And what we recommend is that if you put your name here in the last box, okay, that's going to give it even more validity and authenticity, okay? So make sure that you do that, okay? Now, self-reflection. This section is looking back on your session and discovering 3 ways that you could make your sessions even better, okay? So, for example, based on the feedback, if they say time management was poor, you come here and say, based on the feedback I received, I would make sure that my time management was even stronger and I was more disciplined with my time, okay? Other things that you could self-reflect on could be how you engage with the learners, the learning materials, all those different kind of things, okay? So, next, coming down. We have session plan 2, okay? Now, remember, session plan 2 and 3, and so the content for session 2 and 3 are all related to your workplace, okay, and your industry. So we don't mind what you talk about as long as it relates to your industry and your workplace. And we suggest that you pick something that you know about quite well and isn't too much of a challenge. We do stipulate, though, that it must go for 40 minutes, okay? And that's just part of the unit requirements. It's not Success Training Academy being difficult. It is just what the unit requires, okay? So you're going to fill out session plan 2 in a very similar fashion to how you filled it out for the other one, okay? And then we have, just like before, we have an attendance form, but this one, you must have a minimum of 8 participants. You must have 8 participants, okay? And again, facilitator name is your name, session title, and then date, put in the date, hand out the page, and get them to put in their name, phone number, and email, and get them to sign it. All right, and we've got 8 boxes here, so make sure that all boxes are filled out here, okay? Now, again, this is filled out by your trainer assessor, okay, from Success Training Academy. Okay, get this filled out by your assessor. Make sure that you sign it and put the date. Okay, this again is filled out by one of your participants from the second session, learner feedback form 2. Okay, so that's going to be filled out by one of your learners. Okay, self-reflection 2. This is you reflecting back on your session and thinking, how well did I do? What's the minimum of 3 things that I would change? If you only fill out 1, you will get not yet competent and not yet satisfactory for this task. There must be a minimum of 3. And please remember, there's no such thing as a perfect training session. ASK would never want that. They want you to be able to demonstrate great self-reflection skills, okay? So now, coming down, we have session plan 3, okay? And that's for the 3rd session, okay? And session, this is for the 3rd session, and technically this should be 8, okay? So that's going to be 8 participants, okay? So then we've got the trainer assessor that's going to fill that form out for you. And then we've got the feedback form from one of your learners for the 3rd session, 40 minutes, 8 students, okay? And then self-reflection. Cool. All right. So you're going to fill that out. Okay, so coming down, the last thing you need to fill out is learner signature, sign that and pop the date. Okay, sign that and pop the date in there. All right, so, okay. Alrighty. So that, folks, is the end of the booklet, okay? Now, if you have any questions, concerns, worries at all as you've gone through the booklet, give the office a call, send them an email, give them a call, and they'll be able to answer your academic inquiries, all right? So thank you so much for watching the webinar, and we wish you the very best luck with your assessment. All right, bye for now.